Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Yes She Can project. I am beyond delighted to be joined by the beautiful Hayley. Hello, Hayley.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Well, I am just delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. So, for anybody who perhaps doesn't know, could you do a quick introduction, tell us a bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I am predominantly a TV presenter. That's sort of my main profession. And I sort of began my career hosting Beauty on This Morning for quite a few years. And since then, I've moved into all different areas of presenting. I do a lot of travel documentaries. I have a weekly music show on Sky. In the current age, a lot of presenting now is all online and brands. So I work for all sorts of different fashion, beauty, lifestyle, travel brands. I host a lot of live events in the UK and internationally. And I also do a little bit of modelling and brand ambassador work for a fashion and beauty brand. And I'm an ambassador for the Pink Ribbon Foundation charity. So in a nutshell.
It's me, a woman of many talents, that's for sure. With obviously different arms of your career, would you say that there's any particular time that you can remember, maybe when you were younger, anything that inspired you to start on that kind of journey?
It's a good question. Well, to be honest with you, I was a little performer as a child, one of those annoying kids that was doing dance, drama. And do you remember the camcorders, the ones that you had on your shoulders, things like that, the really big ones, like showing my age. But we used to hire them from our local video shop until we eventually got bought one as a present. And honestly, my whole childhood was spent recreating exercise videos, pretending I was doing the weather or making commercials with my friends. So I think, like, deep down inside, I always must have known that that was the profession that I wanted. And I kind of because I think I was quite a good all-rounder at school, and a lot of people from a good place sort of put me off going into the industry. You know, people are like, well, where on earth do you start? And so I ended up actually doing a law degree. And then, I started a law degree, wasn't for me. And then I did a degree in fashion in the sort of marketing and PR side. And then I worked in the industry for a while, but it's weird. But I remember there's a lady called Nikki Hamilton Jones, and she used to present the show 10 Years Younger, which was massive back in the day. And she brought a book out, and she was a fashion stylist turned TV presenter, and her book that I got really inspired me, her career journey. Not necessarily her presenting style or anything like that, but how she'd kind of had a fashion background like me. She was a businesswoman, but she also became a presenter. And I remember thinking, I really would aspire to have a career like her. And she used to have columns in different magazines, and she used to do adverts for Pantene and all that kind of stuff. So I really loved the direction her career had gone in. And eventually it was almost like someone invisible and tapping me on the shoulder for quite a long time, saying, what are you doing? Like, you've ended up in an office where I was working for a beauty brand at the time. You want to be a presenter? It was weird. It was like someone else almost saying, what on earth are you doing? Like, shouting at me. And I sort of ignored it for a while, and then eventually I took the plunge and left my job, started a business that I could run from home, so that I could start auditioning and getting out there and meeting the right people.
Wow. Going back to what you said about back in the day with the camcorders, you're of my era where Blockbusters was still open, wasn't it? And when they used to do the weather on like, what was it always called This Morning? I'm not sure whether it was. I can't remember.
Morning, and then
they used to jump over the map, didn't they, to do the weather back in the day?
Yes, and they fell in a few times. That was really funny.
It was. So talking about your career, with you being a woman in the public eye, And a lot of the things that you do obviously are fashion and beauty based. Do you find it difficult being a female and having to look a certain way and keep that confidence, kind of putting yourself out there all the time in that kind of industry? Is it as cutthroat as people think it is?
It is quite a there's quite a lot of superficial elements to the job that I do.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm quite lucky. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm having a complete down day today, so I should keep my hair and makeup because I've just been working from home, walking the dog, things like that. But I actually really enjoy getting glam.
Yeah.
I know it's not for everybody, but I love it. So I actually enjoy that side of things.
Yeah.
But it can be, of course, there can be a real pressure to always look your best, and full on hair, makeup, the whole thing as well. And because I do feel, as much as I love my industry, because I am very aware that I'm not really in an industry where I'm doing a job where I'm giving back, I've tried to incorporate a lot of charity work into my career. And I find that balances out for me mentally the superficial side of what I do. And the sort of small platform, or the opportunities that I have, or the contacts I have, or the connections to different brands and things like that, I've found a way to sort of fuse that all together to work with some charities, especially the one I'm ambassador for, the Pink Ribbon Foundation. So like my fashion brands that I work and model for have created a really amazing collection where all the proceeds go to Pink Ribbon for breast cancer. So that's the way I sort of mentally deal with it. But yes, there definitely is pressure. But to be honest, I think whatever industry, I just think being a man or a woman nowadays, I don't even think men are exempt from it. Especially with Instagram and social media and filters and apps and all the rest of it, I think the focus that we put on appearance now is huge. It's just so extreme and really unhealthy.
Yeah, definitely. And like, although you talked about it being superficial in a way, like we were talking about earlier before we started recording, it can also be the best thing that you can do for yourself to make you feel better, if that's something that obviously you're into. So I think it forms, in a lot of ways, it is a really positive thing.
Yes, it can, absolutely, it can be. I've done makeover days for really deserving women, and we used to do a lot of makeovers on This Morning for deserving women, and absolutely that is where the sort of beauty and fashion side can come into its own. And it is more than the superficial, absolutely, because to give somebody their confidence back, if they've lost their hair through cancer treatment, for example, and they just don't feel like themselves, or perhaps they're a carer and they're busy looking after everybody else, to be able to make them feel glamorous, feminine, pampered, special, can be an amazing thing to do. So that it can be a positive thing as well.
Absolutely. What would you say, can you pinpoint any particular standout moment in your career so far that you've had? Sorry, putting you on the spot.
No, there's so many amazing things over the years that it's hard to pick one, but I would say when I first joined This Morning, that was incredibly surreal and magical, and having been a fan of the show for as long as I can remember, going into the studio, and they used to have what they call the hub. They used to have presenters in the hub, and we'd go in the hub, we'd do live Q&As, and we'd do and being there with Ruth and Eamon and Holly Phil and all these just incredible people that I admire, and to actually be chatting alongside them, I think that's something that stands out as just being
It's like a pinch me kind of moment, isn't it?
Honestly, I just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
do you suffer from imposter syndrome as well sometimes? Like I know obviously a lot of us, we're kind of like, I would imagine that kind of situation would be very much like, oh my God, what happens if something happens wrong? Or I can't imagine how much pressure that would be.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. But I don't, to be honest, I wouldn't say I suffer from imposter syndrome as such. I would say I'm just so, I think I'm so grateful and so amazed when anything good happens to me. I just really try and live in the moment of it, rather than, to me, I don't want to waste time thinking, questioning myself. And I just think I'm here. I don't know how I'm here, but I'm just going to absorb it up like a little sponge and just enjoy every second.
Oh, that's a wonderful way to think of it. And I think a lot of people could use that as excellent advice, you know, because it's so difficult, isn't it? Sometimes you get these opportunities that you never would have imagined that you would get, even if it's on a day-to-day basis. And then you're always nervous about thinking, oh, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Will I be good enough? Will this happen? But if you can flip it the way that you do, and think, oh my goodness, not put any other thoughts in your head like I'm undeserving, what happens if this happens? If you can just go with it, then you can really, really live those experiences that you deserve, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suffered with a really serious bowel condition in my youth and my early years. So I was so ill and housebound and in and out of hospital and things like that. So I think having been through an experience like that, I always feel like I'm making up from lost time, and it's almost like I'm living two completely different lives. So when amazing things happen to me, I always just think back to when I literally had no quality of life, and I appreciate such a level of appreciation and gratitude for having the health that I have now to be able to do these things. I just don't want to waste a moment.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. So actually that leads really, really well into my next question. So the story that's been hitting the headlines for you at the moment is the fact that you manifested your dream 12 months. So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously the pandemic was challenging for every single person on the planet, wasn't it? And I certainly wasn't sat at home feeling sorry for myself, because you know, I've thank goodness been lucky that I haven't lost any loved ones. And I realized how lucky I was just to have a roof over my head and to have kept well, to be honest. But outside of that, my life was affected in a lot of ways. I had a rental, was in a rented property with a friend and had to leave that and move back in with family. 95% of my work went because I do a lot of travel shows, and a lot of the channels that I worked on weren't able to operate, or they were operating under very restricted conditions. So and live events. So 95% of my work and income went. I also just had a situation with a rogue accountant that I then sort of got rid of, that meant that I missed out on being furloughed, so I didn't have a penny coming in. My Instagram, which had been one of my remaining sources of income, got targeted by hackers, and I was blackmailed for money, and it was awful. It was really awful. The police got involved and everything, but I lost everything. So I was sort of, it was a tough time for me, and my personal life, my husband, my ex-husband sort of cheated on me about 7 years ago, and ever since that happened, I just have really been unlucky in love and haven't been able to find the one. I'm in my late 30s, and I'd very much like to have the opportunity to try and become a mum, and I'd love to adopt as well, but in my dream world, I wanted a partner by my side. So with all that sort of going on, back in my bedroom at my family home and not working and having all this time and no money, etc. I thought, well, how can I keep positive? What can I do to see if I can take some responsibility and matters into my own hands? And I was aware of manifesting. I've been very interested in it for years, but I have studied the science behind it. I've read books on quantum physics. I've listened to talks from neuroscientists. I've really delved into the science to back up the benefits of creating these mood boards. So in January last year, I created a vision board for the following year, the year just gone, and I had all elements of my life and charity work, health and romance and everything that I was sort of trying to bring into my life and that I wanted to achieve. And it wasn't till about 6 months later, honestly, that I looked at the board, but I really had to take a step back because I genuinely couldn't believe how much of it and the specific details that had actually all come into my reality.
So was it a case of, so you didn't notice before, so it wasn't like you were looking at it regularly to kind of feed into the science of it to keep yourself positive? You kind of just made it, still was positive about things, but then it was only after about 6 months that you kind of stepped back and thought, oh my gosh, all of this is actually coming true.
Well, I do. I mean, it's literally hanging to the right of me now, but I did look at it regularly, but I guess it's maybe like looking at a jigsaw that you've completed. It's not till you maybe zoom in and take a look that you notice how all the pieces are fitted together. So definitely. I was still looking at it, but I hadn't really looked at it in detail, if that makes sense. And then I literally think, wow. And even things that I hadn't pre-planned. So for example, I put an image or a couple of images to represent my charity work with the Pink Ribbon Foundation. And on the board, they happened to be next to my image that represented Blue Vanilla, the fashion brand that I'm an ambassador for, which I hadn't manifested before I'd done the board. But they happened to be side by side. And that wasn't even planned. And then I thought, oh my goodness, they're now Blue Vanilla, the fashion brand, are now a partner. They've partnered with Pink Ribbon. We've created a whole range of t-shirts and tote bags that are in all their stores on their website. All of the profits are going to Pink Ribbon. We've had a big press celebrity launch in their Blue Water store. We got in the Daily Mail, National Press. And I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, like I hadn't even realised that the two could have even joined up.
Put them together.
Yes, they were next to each other on the board. And that really wowed me because that wasn't even deliberate. They were just two separate things that I wanted to focus on. And I was like, wow. Yeah, it was just mad. And even the guy, I had a picture of a couple. And it was interesting because I remember having lots of different images of couples. Some were different ethnic backgrounds from my own. I wasn't actually looking for somebody that looked like me, or who was of my ethnic background even. it was more about the vision, the image, what it represented, the feeling I got from it. And I went
the image of love rather than who was in the picture.
Love. Absolutely. And so anyway, but this particular image that I had chosen because it sort of resonated with me. The man is sort of looking strong, protective, and the girl is sort of looking very affectionate towards him. It was just a very nice vibe. And an image of my now partner that I met very shortly after putting up the board, I sort of put the two side by side and suddenly thought, wow, like I'm not saying we look exactly like that, they're very, very attractive couple, but there was a real strong similarity in my partner, and just one of the pictures that were taken, we didn't try and recreate that pose, it was just really weird. Yes.
Oh, that's so nice. So what would you say to somebody who is feeling exactly how you were feeling at the beginning of last year?
I would say trying to keep a positive mindset is really, really worth sort of trying to do that. And obviously different methods work for different people. But I'd say sort of maybe just explore what you think might help you, whether it's affirmations, whether it's meditation. Obviously restrictions allowed. If you can surround yourself with people that are very positive, with positive energy, or listen to podcasts like this, whatever you can do to inspire you, to uplift you, get out in nature, listen to music, because it's very easy to just sort of, I think of it like if you think of yourself like a radio station, you don't want to tune into that negative frequency for too long.
No.
Obviously we can't be happy every day, it's not possible, you know, awful things happen in life. But I think if we can try and be aware, and we can try and tune ourselves into that positive FM, if you like, as much as we possibly can, by being grateful for little things. Like you know, when I was feeling really down, and I could have sat there and thought, I've got no partner, my biological clock is ticking, I've been single for 7 years, you know, I'm living with my parents. I could have felt sorry for myself, but I wasn't.
Definitely.
I was thinking, think about the key workers, think about everything else that's going on in the world. I'd have a shower and I think, I'm so lucky that water comes out of the shower for me, because in a lot of places around the world it doesn't, you know. And it's the simple everyday things. I run the tap and I can have a glass of water, and it's so easy to take that for granted, but I think sometimes we don't realize just how fortunate we are.
Absolutely.
And you know, there are people going through really awful health struggles. You know, I know what it's like to be bedbound in hospital. So if you're alive and you're breathing and you're feeling good, it's got to be a good day to some extent. You've got to try and tune into that. And I'd say, like, look into the science, try a vision board. Why not? There is so much evidence and so much compelling research done by neuroscientists that that it really can help you. And if you think, and like, if you think about a to-do list, so most people wouldn't be shocked if someone said, oh yeah, I have to write a to-do list every day, I have to cross things off, because otherwise I kind of forget.
Your brain gets clouded, doesn't it?
It gets clouded. And now we are living in a society where we've never ever been bombarded with more information. And our brains apparently have to filter out so much just to be able to cope. So the way I see it is, like with the to-do list, there is so much. Your brain, you might think to yourself, do you know what, I really want to achieve, you know, I want to do a course this year, I really want to learn how to drive, or whatever it is that you're working towards. And it might be going around in your brain, but you know, you're busy with work and the kids or whatever it is, and it's easy, I think, for that to get filtered out.
Absolutely.
And you're not necessarily really clear and really focused on what you want. So like having the to-do list, this is a little bit more of an advanced version of that, but it's visual. So yes, you know, having a dream home isn't something on a to-do list, but it's something to work towards, to aspire to. And I think by having that visual to-do list, or to work towards list, if you want, is not really any different than having a to-do list. If you have a to-do list and you look at it every day, and you eventually start to tick things off, where you take steps towards your goals. Like if you want a clean house, you have to take the steps.
It doesn't clean itself.
Exactly. You've got to pick up the Hoover, you've got to put the energy in, you've got to put the work in. And the same as everything on my board, you know, I wanted to get this dream house, I've had to work hard. I wanted to go and do a presenting job in Mauritius, one of the things that happened, but I didn't just look at the picture of Mauritius, you know, it was lots of calls, Zoom meetings, emails, being creative, trying to pull this project together, and it happened. So I just urge anyone to try it, because honestly, my life has turned around.
Wow. It's about, like you say, having that, because sometimes I think we can get overwhelmed with having things that we think are huge goals, and they do seem so unreachable, and then we start getting all the negativity back in again and thinking, well, I'll never achieve that, or oh, there's no way that can possibly happen. But like you say, if you have that end goal as a visual representation of where you want to be, then that is giving you visual encouragement every day to take those small steps towards reaching that goal. Because I think if you break it down, maybe, then that makes it seem more manageable rather than just such a long way off, you know, because it's hard to think about something that feels too huge, because then you start doubting yourself whether you're ever going to get there. But like you say, if you are taking in, it's like you said about the filtering, if you are taking in such positivity and those positive things that you want, then you can reach for them in a much healthier way rather than putting yourself down about it.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with everything you've said. And also, you've got to think there are other people out there in the world that have achieved what you want to achieve, and they've done it. Why can't you do it? Why couldn't you do it? There are people who've gone from you know, having periods of being homeless to being multimillionaires.
Yeah.
Well, so you can't ever say to yourself, well, this is my current situation, so I could never achieve that.
Yeah.
Well, no. Why would you limit yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't create limiting beliefs. Reach for the sky. And it could just be feelings. It could be really simple things like when it came to my love life, to be honest, I'd be surprised. I don't even know why I picked this particular word. It's not even a word I would have thought about relationships, but I just put comfort on there because I think I'd had so many sort of up and down relationships and a lot of heartbreaks since I sort of split with my ex-husband. I just wanted to feel comforted, secure.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird things where I hadn't even noticed that word was on the board, and then I just kept thinking or saying when I was describing my partner, I just feel so much comfort when I'm with him. You know, if I'm laying on his chest or we're having a cuddle, it's just like the sort of nicest feeling. Like I just feel
secure and comfortable.
Secure, yeah. So you could just it doesn't necessarily have to be all about the
physical things.
Yeah. You don't have to aspire to earn a certain amount of money or live in a massive mansion. That's not actually going to make you happy, but it could just be that you put you know, if you're somebody that tends to be more of a negative mindset, maybe you put positive
thoughts,
positive thoughts, happy thoughts. It could be anything like that. I think the main thing is you want a board that gives you look at it and it just makes you feel good. Even if you haven't got those things in your life at the moment, even if they seem a long way off, there's something about the images that you've picked personally, whatever ones mean to you, or maybe you've got a few little pictures of your kids there when they're smiling and they just their faces are lit up and it lights you up. Anything that evokes that lovely happy feeling and reminds you of like the abundance in life, the great things in life, even if it's a happiness board of just good memories, anything that can lift your spirits, I would say just have it. You know, we often have like pictures and things that make us feel good. Even nowadays, they're photos on our phone that maybe we don't look at or don't see on a daily basis, or they're tucked under the bed in old photo albums. Like, get them out, surround yourself by images and things that make you feel good and inspired.
That evoke that happy emotion that you want to achieve as one of your goals.
Absolutely, and that will set you up for the day.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what you said about appreciating the small things, I think that's super important as well. And I think it's about celebrating your small achievements too, especially if you're going through a hard time with your mental health, for example. Then it's about, like you said, appreciating the fact that you have your health, appreciating the fact that you can go and have a shower, and celebrating the tiny things, even if it's just getting out of bed for the day, if you've been having a really hard time, or getting dressed, you know.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Everybody's going to be at a different level. And if you're having a particularly tough time or you're going through a period of depression, a massive win for you literally might be, like you said, getting out of bed, having a shower and getting dressed. But give yourself a massive pat on the back for that, because that's amazing, and that's where you're at, and that is a small step in the right direction. And if you have a bad day the next day, that's fine. But just make sure that you do, like you say, you do recognize the small little wins, and that will give you a little confidence boost. That will boost your, if you're feeling sorry for the dog in the background. If you're feeling tired and useless and down and hard on yourself, it's all that negativity feeding into your head. And if you can turn it around and start appreciating yourself and rewarding yourself for the small little things that you're able to do every day, hopefully you can build on that. And then maybe one day you'll go out for a walk, or you'll pick up the phone, or you'll do something. You push yourself that little bit and a little bit more, and eventually it will build and build and build. And then hopefully you'll be able to sort of pick yourself up and get yourself back on track.
Absolutely. And it's about being open about how you feel as well, isn't it? That's a really important thing to do. Even if you feel like, I don't know, because some people I think, oh, well, maybe my feelings aren't valid, or maybe I don't want to bother anybody with how they're feeling, especially if they're projecting that they're okay. You don't really want to put your negativity onto somebody else, and it makes you feel guilty then, doesn't it? So it's about knowing that you are loved and cared for, and you will be listened to, and there's plenty of people that will listen.
Oh, there really is. And also, I totally understand, because we do all have that guilt, don't we? If we're having a tough time, we also think, oh, well, we don't want to burden anyone else. Oh, I don't want to bring anyone else down. But actually, how many times can you think where you've been going for a good place in your life, and someone's come to you for help, and you get a good feeling if you can listen to someone that just needs to offload, and you get to be that person that they turn to. It's not a selfish thing to offload on other people or to ask for help. In general, people love to help other people. People
absolutely.
like, it makes the other person feel needed. Sorry, I'm gonna have to just let my dog
It's all right.
I'm so sorry, but he's okay. Sorry about that. But yes, it can bring a lot of joy to another person, and to be able to help you. So you mustn't ever feel guilty about turning to another person for help, because as I said, that other person will probably really benefit and feel good that they've been able to help you. So
absolutely. And then turn it on the flip side and think to yourself, that other person, if it was me, for example, and someone that I knew was struggling, I would hate to think that they didn't come to me.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be horrible.
It really would. It really would. And it's so important. And you're maybe at the time you're the person that needs the support, but if you've got friends or colleagues or whoever it is, there'll be another time in their life where they'll need to lean on you.
Absolutely.
As people, we need to support and help each other. Or maybe it's a stranger. Maybe you can't, for whatever your problem is, you don't feel that you can connect or open up to someone that you know. And that's where all these amazing organizations and support groups and things like that come in. And there is always someone out there willing to help. So I always think you just need to be brave and reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to what you said, Hayley, about your vision board, is it something that now, obviously, it has been extremely successful for you in the last 12 months? Is it going to be something that you're going to incorporate into your life every year, taking forward?
Yes, and I've already been collating images.
For 2022?
Yes, I've already started, and it's made me feel really, again, I had to write a list first. I had to think, right, what are the next things on my life list, and how do I want to feel, and what do I want to achieve, and what do I want to give back, and all of that. So I've written them down, and then I've been finding images. I mean, magazines are great, but I would say you might struggle to find an image that you're looking for in magazines. So what I do is I just go online, just search in, I don't know, say it's a relationship and you're looking for an image of a couple, a happy couple. You can put that in, and you can save it as a photo on your phone or computer, and then you can go to one of those
print out machines,
print out machines, or I use an app called free prints, super cheap, something like £2.99. It's not an expensive process. And then I get all the images sent to my house, and then I redo my board. So 100% I'm going to continue with it. I think this is just going to be a lifelong practice, and help my boyfriend with his. My sister, she's doing hers at the moment.
Wow.
Even the one of the lovely journalists from one of the newspapers that wrote up my story messaged me and said, I'm sat here doing my board.
That's so nice.
I know, it's so nice. I've had so many people say on social media, or even friends and emails saying thank you, and I'm now about to do my board. I've been thinking about it for years. I don't get around to it, or I've never thought about it, but I'm willing to try it. So yeah, it's really nice. So I'm excited. I've said to everyone, just come back to me in 12 months' time and let me know what happened and if it worked for you.
Definitely. Are you allowed to share anything that's on your board?
Oh yeah, for this year.
Or are you not allowed to do that? I don't know how it works.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I don't think that matters at all. So for this year, so my partner and I have bought a house. Well, we're 7 months into buying a house.
Oh my
and we're literally at that point of exchange. It's just been a complex change.
Nightmare.
So hopefully by the end of this month we'll be in. But the house was on my board for last year, the dream house in Essex. But now I've got a print out of our actual house. So obviously just want to get that over the line. So that's one of my big visions. Next step is family for us. Once we're in the house, so I'm on my board will be children, hopefully, you know, a family, and in the near future, if we're blessed with that, would be wonderful. So that's something for next year. So yeah, they're two of my main things. I think I've got some fitness goals on there too, more travel, a TV show that's in the pipeline. I've got that on there because I really want that to happen. That would be really big for me. So yeah, a little bit of everything, and more work with the Pink Ribbon Foundation and the brands that I work for. So yeah, some fresh things for 2022.
Brilliant. So say for example, obviously that's separate, because that's like all round in your life. For like a dream role, what do you think that would look like for you? Like if you could do absolutely anything that you've always wanted to do, whether that's a presenting job or something like that, what would that look like?
I would love a mainstream sort of travel presenting job. That would be my dream. Or to be on, I love property as well. I love countryside. To be on one of those ongoing shows that are, you know, one of the sort of household name TV shows in travel, property, or anything to do with animals or countryside lifestyle. I'd love to be on one of those shows. That would be a dream for me.
You need to stick that on your board.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes, this new one on Channel 5 is actually a new show. It's all NGA, so I can't talk about it. But it would be on. I think 5-6 days a week. So I mean, that would just be that would tick one of those boxes. That would be really, really
and
great.
Is that the one that's in the pipeline already?
Yes, that's in the pipeline. Yes, so that would be really
exciting.
Good. But yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, just Place in the Sun, Country Fire, or Homes Under the Hammer, or anything like that. I'd just love to be on one of those type of shows.
But you'll have to be careful though, because if everything keeps happening, then you'll have nothing to put on next year.
I know, you have to be careful what you wish for.
Space yourself out a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. But yeah, I mean, it just makes me feel really inspired and excited. And I think if you start achieving some of your goals or some of the ways that you want to feel, it spurs you on, and you think, right, maybe I'll dream a little bit bigger next time.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, it's like they say, the world's your oyster, isn't it? The sky's the limit. It's all of those sayings that are true, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I go back to when I wanted to pursue the career that I have now in TV presenting, when I was working in PR marketing. I'd done my degree in fashion and beauty, and well-meaning people said to me, how will you ever be a TV presenter? You don't live in London, you don't have any friends or family in the industry, you don't know the first thing about it. It's never going to happen, like, you're mad. And I remember so clearly, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, I just know I'm going to do it. And I truly believe that if you have that mindset, and I kept thinking, well, other people have jobs in TV, so they've done it. Why can't I do it? And,
was there ever a point though that you did think, I don't think I can, or have you always been of the mindset, other people can, so why can't I?
I have had real difficult times, and when I was starting out, I sort of ran this business alongside all the auditioning and screen tests and building up my TV experience, and people wouldn't pay me, and I had a lot of problems, and sometimes I was just like, oh gosh, I'd look at my friends with secure, steady jobs that were bringing in income, paying their mortgage without any stress, and there were so many times where I just thought, why don't I want to be a teacher or work in a bank, or why don't I want a quote unquote normal job? But even on those really tough days when I was facing some real challenges, and in this industry you get rejected all the time. You go for jobs,
it's part of the course, isn't it?
And people will say to you, we loved you, but we're looking for somebody from a different ethnic background, or we're looking for a male, rather with a male percentage. And sometimes it's not even based on your ability. If your face fits at the time, it fits. But somewhere deep inside, whenever I wanted to give up, my real gut feeling, like I had when I left my job and just went for it, it was always there. And I always truly believe that the answer you're looking for is inside you. If you listen, it's there.
And like you said, when you felt like someone was tapping you on the shoulder, telling you to do it, it's like the universe was saying, this is your path, this is what you need to follow, and this is what you need to do. And you kept that intuition that kind of guided you to where you are today.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I really did. And actually, I had a really, really useful piece of advice from Alexandra Burke, who I met just after she won the X Factor and was lucky enough to become friends with her. And I remember talking to her when I was thinking of leaving my job and doing what I do now, and asking for her advice. And she said, you know what, Hayley? She said, we're always looking for the answers outside of ourselves. If there's something we want to do or we want else to, we always ask for the approval of other people. She said, but you already know the answer. She said, you already know. She's like, listen to yourself and just do it. And I thought that was the best piece of advice that I could have heard in that moment. And I thought, you know what, you are so right. Because there are loads of situations in life where an outside opinion is incredibly valuable, but something like this, other people can put you off. It has to come from you. Absolutely, Michelle. Other people can put you off. They can put doubt into your mind, fear into your mind, based on their experiences. Maybe they tried a job change or a big move and it didn't work out for them, so they don't want you to go through that. But you can't. If something's inside of you and you've got that burning passion or that burning desire, to listen to yourself, because I truly think she was so right.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes when you ask people, you're asking because you can be a little unsure of yourself, and it's almost like you're seeking other people's approval or other people's confirmation that you should listen to yourself, because it can be difficult, can't it, if you feel like, even though you can feel it inside you and you know that that's the way that you want to go, sometimes it's hard to completely trust yourself because you worry it might not be the right thing to do. But really, like you say, if you truly believe, then you'll go with what you feel.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's sort of a gift that we've got inside of us and we don't utilize it enough.
Absolutely. Oh, Hayley, it's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you. Just before
So good, thank you. And I apologise if anybody's picking up on my dog barking in the background. I do
No,
apologise.
I can't hear it. I don't think I can. No, you're good. Finally, where can people find you?
So my Instagram, which I had to start from scratch after being hacked. But again, another thing I put on my board, something else that I've achieved. I'd love to hear from any of the listeners. So it's Hayley, Hayley M Sparkes, Sparkes. So Hayley M Sparkes on Instagram, or you can just type my name in and you'll find my website and Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to me today. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Well done for all your amazing achievements and for setting up this podcast community, because I'm so excited to dive into your episodes and get some inspiration from some of the other people and guests that you've had on your show. So keep doing all the good work, because I think the more we can share our stories and hopefully we can all keep inspiring each other and share ideas, and it's just anything that supports anyone else out there is always a really good thing. So well done you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Well, I hope you enjoy them, and thank you, and I shall speak to you soon.
Thanks, Michelle. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.